How to get basketball strong. I'm Tony. Welcome back to Streetball Strategies.
I can't back down. I would not live in the background. If we fell off, then we back now. I saw the throne at that moment, I sat down.
Today we're continuing on our New Year's resolution series that I do every year at the beginning of every year. That's when I take the first 2-3 months of the year, of the season, when it's still off season out here in southeastern Michigan. It's still winter. So since I can't do or display any kind of on the court actual activity or have the weather to do so, I focus more so on fitness and getting in shape and all of those kinds of beginning of the year topics. So today we're going to focus on strength, getting strong, specifically getting basketball strong. Because sometimes this time of year I talk general health and fitness topics. Today we're going to talk specifically how to get strong for basketball. Let's get this out of the way right up front. So if you came here specifically to see drills and workouts about how to get stronger in basketball, this is the wrong video, the wrong channel for you. I don't do drills and workouts on this channel. I have a video about why right here. I pretty much just give spoken word basketball advice that actually works and will actually help you. That being said, let's talk about strength, right? Let's define it so we both are on the same page about what we're talking about. Because when we're talking about basketball is not really a strength-centered sport. To me, basketball is the most athletic American sport that we have. I have a video about why that is right here. But when we're talking about sort of pure athleticism, it's the combination of everything, including strength, that makes basketball what it is. And as basketball players, we need to take it into account. What are you using your strength for out here on the court? Because different positions, different areas of the court are going to require different kinds of strength. More traditionally, when we're talking about like strength and power, the closer you play to the basket, the more basketball becomes a contact sport, where you're up against another person and you're kind of pressing back and forth with them, almost wrestling. That's more conventional kind of strength and power. But if you play further away from the basketball, more around the perimeter, right, you're not going to be making as much contact as the people down towards the basket. So for you, you're going to need a different kind of power. You're going to need the kind of strength where you make glancing contact with other players. Whether it be, working around and through screens and picks around the perimeter, or just sort of taking contact when you're going to the basket, going to the rim and trying to finish at the basket. So different positions require different kinds of strength. But to me, when we talk about just strength in general, when we talk about using it on the basketball court, any kind of physical athletic movement, including strength, to me, my philosophy, my strategy as a basketball player has always been that everything physical on the basketball court starts from the ground and works its way up. Everything has to have a base. Everything has to have a root where everything starts. To me, when we're talking about physical ability on the court, everything starts from the ground. For example, as a basketball player, if for whatever reason you want to be stronger in your upper body, in like your arms for whatever reason, you may think that you just need to improve the strength and the muscles in your arms. And while doing so will help undoubtedly, for me, if you really want to improve that functionally, it has to start from your feet touching the ground on up. So let's talk about how you can actually use your contact with the ground from your feet up to improve your strength. Now, the reason I take this angle, talking about building strength and physical ability from the ground up, is because I like to keep things as simple and straightforward on the basketball court as possible. Those people, those players who go, okay, I want to get stronger, what drills, workouts, exercises should I do to improve my strength? Those players are kind of trying to skip to the end result. They're trying to skip through all of the technical details and just sort of get to the end result that they're looking for. I don't blame them for doing that. That's human nature. But when you do that, you're cheating yourself out of going through the necessary process that it's going to take to get to that end result. So they may get some results from just jumping to the end, but they're not going to get nearly as much, nearly as thorough results as they would if they'd actually go through the actual process and hierarchy that it does take to get the kind of results that they're actually looking for. So let's talk about what I mean when I say building from the ground up. So Newton's law says that whatever force you put into the ground gives right back to you in equal measure. Meaning, the way you contact the ground, the way you push off the ground, that's your ability to generate power, strength, explosiveness. A huge part of it comes from that kind of the power that you put into the ground itself. But you have to learn exactly how to do that for you and for your body type. For example, players that are really high jumpers, right? Now, some of them, like most of them, they're born with the ability, the talent to be able to jump high. But that doesn't mean that there's not technique that goes into it. So for example, you can't get too low on your jump and still be able to generate enough power. You also have to jump, you have to bend your knees deep enough in order to get the exact kind of power that you're looking for. So if you go too deep, you're gonna not generate enough power. And if you don't go deep enough when you bend your knees for the jump, you're not gonna generate enough power. There's a very precise level there where, like, if you go too low, not enough. If you don't go enough when you're bending your knees for a jump, you're not generating enough power. There's a certain sweet spot that every player has to find for themselves, because that sweet spot allows their body to put that force into the ground to then jump and create the kind of power that they're looking for. The same principle applies when you're talking about creating strength in your body. And the simplest way to go about that is whatever movement that you're doing in which you're trying to generate strength and power, you have to start with, how are your feet contacting the ground? How is your footwork? How is your stance? Is it proper? Are your feet spread out as far as they need to be in order for you to generate the exact kind of power from the ground that you need? Are your feet turned out to a certain degree? If they're too far, it's going to be too much. If they're too straight, it's going to be too little. You got to find that perfect sweet spot for your feet when you contact them to the ground, so that they can have the contact to create that power. So that's where everything starts. How are your feet contacting the ground? And then everything from your feet is just a chain reaction from what your feet create. And yes, we're even talking about moving your arms and having strength and power in your arms. That starts from how your feet touch the ground. This is the kind of thing that's going to require you to practice and put in all kinds of repetitions to get your body movement right. You're gonna have to experiment with, okay, when I move my body in a certain way, creating power from the ground up from my feet, through my ankles, through my knees, through my hips, through my torso, and out to my arms, how do I move my body in that specific way to create the exact right kind of power that I'm looking for? And that goes with any movement out here, any strength-based movement, regardless of what position you play, whether you play close to the basket or far from the basket. A lot of people miss out on the technique part, right? They only focus on, I need to get in the gym and I need to start lifting weights, or I need to start doing plyometrics to create the kind of strength I'm looking for. That's the end result. Don't just skip to that. Let's go through the proper process. You need to get your technique right first. And that needs to start with you by yourself in the gym, disseminating how you move your body. How does your body contact the ground, and how does that contact help you to create the kind of force and strength up through your body that you're looking for? You need to break down your own technique, find out what you're doing wrong, find out what you're doing right, and then refine what you're doing right to create the exact right kind of movement every time. and then go onto the court, apply what you think you've learned, the new technique that you have refined, and see how it works. And there's going to be some parts of it that work great. There's going to be some parts of it that don't work as well as you thought they would. So then refine, once you put that to practice on the court, refine the parts of it that don't work and go through that process again. Because if you're not using technique to create the maximum potential for energy and strength through your body, starting from the ground up, if you're not doing that, it's not going to matter how much work you put in off the court with the weights and the plyometrics and whatever else it is that you're doing. If you can't generate the raw power from the ground up through your body, whatever work you're putting in off the court is not going to be able to be used and translate if you can't use the actual, power from the ground up through your body to begin with. So that's how to get basketball strong. There is an actual process, an actual hierarchy that takes place here. You do need to start with technique first. If you don't know how to control your body and use the force from the ground up through your body to begin with first, you're not going to be able to use whatever weightlifting or whatever off the court supplementation you're trying to add to your body for strength. But now let's talk about how do you supplement off the court to help make yourself stronger. The reason I save this for last is because you already know. And the reason you already know is because it's obvious. It's the same kind of thought and idea that goes about, how do you lose weight and get into shape? Well, you already know how to do that. And because it's obvious. If you're trying to lose weight and get in shape, you got to eat less and move more. Everybody already knows that. It's just a matter of application. Will you actually do that? So when we're talking about supplementing strength off the court for basketball, the obvious and easy answer is just whatever movements that you're trying to get stronger at doing, simulate them off the court. So if you're going to use weightlifting to try to make yourself stronger for on-the-court movements, for example, like if you're trying to learn how to box out, right? And you want to make that box out as strong as you can. Well, now you're talking about using your legs, right? To power and give yourself a nice strong base to keep a person behind you. And then you're talking about using your back and your rear shoulders to keep people boxed out and create that seal. Well, if you're using those kinds of muscles in that position on the court, the best thing you can do is simulate doing that off the court, using those muscles, strengthening those muscles off the court. So for example, maybe you want to start doing deadlifts. Deadlifts will work that base. They will work your hamstrings and your quadriceps. It'll work your lower back and the rest of your back, making you strong through that boxing out movement. You probably want to work on your rear delt movement. So do some kind of rear pec fly where you're working the rear side of your shoulders, making the back of your shoulders strong. Whatever part of basketball you're trying to get strong at, figure out what muscles you use during that movement on the court, and then exercise, strengthen those muscles off the court, trying to stay as close as possible to simulating that movement that you would be doing on the court. It really is that simple, but again, it doesn't matter how much strength you build off the court if you don't know and learn how to actually use it while you're on the court. So I want to thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, if you found it helpful, if you think it's going to help you get stronger, be stronger as a basketball player, and if you like that this video is kind of unique and different from other videos about basketball strength on the internet, then please subscribe to the channel. That's what I do here. I don't do drills and workouts. You don't get a whole lot of like physical action B-roll on this channel. It's just not what I do. But what I do is I give great basketball, spoken word basketball advice that makes sense, that goes deep and thorough, and because of that will actually work for you. And let us know down in the comments, what do you do to make yourself basketball strong? What have you done that has worked for you, that has given you great results? Share that with us. Let's help each other get better. But before you make those comments, make sure you hit that thanks button down below, because when you hit that thanks button, not only will it highlight all of your comments so that all of your comments stick out from any other comment, but it also directly supports the channel. So for anybody that does hit that thanks button, know I definitely appreciate it. As always, like, share, comment like I said. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever any video goes live on this channel. And until then, I'll see you guys next week.
Full of hard knocks, I'm testing my limits. We ain't gon' stop till we make it to the finish. Turning up the speaker real loud, make them listen. I've been sticking to the mission, bring the plan to fruition. Anytime that life get hard, I work harder.